Elizabeth Judith, your courage coach, with your cup of courage for the day and the fourth and final piece in my series on procrastination. If you're just joining this series, you need to know that the research shows that the main cause of our procrastination is stress. You're not a bad person. You're not inherently lazy. You've just developed a pretty bad habit of procrastinating instead of taking action in an effort to give yourself some sort of relief for those uncomfortable feelings of stress. So what do we know about habits and how to change them? There are three main components to a habit. The first is the trigger, which in this case would be your stress. The second is that conditioned, habitual, routine, or behavior that you engage in response to that trigger. And the final piece is the reward. So that's that escape, that little bit of relief that you get, along with sometimes some dopamine hits, because some of those behaviors that we're engaging in are designed even to be addictive. But the research shows across the board that there's no point in trying to change those triggers. Once we have a habit pretty well established, those will always tend to be triggers for us. The only thing that we can consistently have an effect on, we can always choose our response to those triggers. Now, the other golden rule in the science of habit is you can't just go ahead and get rid of that second component. You can't just train yourself to not respond to those triggers. You actually have to replace that conditioned habitual behavior with another behavior. And that's why yesterday I talked to you about how as soon as you feel stressed, as soon as you feel that urge to start procrastinating, we need to stop the cycle in its tracks. We're immediately going to think in our head, remind ourselves what's really going on. Oh, that's right. This isn't really about procrastinating. I'm really just stressed out about my finances or my relationship or whatever. And then we're going to forgive ourselves. We're going to be kind to ourselves, because people who procrastinate tend to be very, very harsh with themselves, which exacerbates the stress and makes it more likely that we are going to engage in procrastination. So we're going to forgive ourselves for procrastinating and for getting ourselves into these stressful situations in the first place. We're going to take a deep breath and tell ourselves, and now I'm just going to move forward in the best way that I can. And then we need to rocket ourselves into action as fast as possible, because our brains only need 5 seconds or less to talk us out of doing something that we really want to do. That's right. Our brains are actually designed to keep us from changing. There's a part of our brain, the amygdala part of our brain, that does not like change. It doesn't want us to do anything new or different or risky. And so it will do everything it can to talk us out of it. And so we can't let it do that. So before it has a chance to do that, before 5 seconds pass, we need to rocket ourselves into action. And so in order to do that, we're going to utilize a very simple tool that was introduced by Mel Robbins. She has a best-selling book even with the same title. The tool is called the 5-second rule. You might have heard of it. There's actually a couple 100,000 people who are actually utilizing this extremely simple tool and transforming their life. And when you hear what it is, if you haven't heard of it before, you're going to think it's ridiculous. It's so overly simple that it's going to be hard to believe that it's as powerful as it is. And I don't have time to go into all of the science behind it, but trust me, it's there. It's utilizing multiple principles in behavioral science, in psychology, and everything that we know on how to develop new habits. And it's all you're going to do after you do that new anchoring conversation, which is actually part of that 5-second rule. We're going to stop the cycle, have the conversation. Yes, this is just me being stressed out. I forgive myself, and I'm going to move forward in the best way that I can. We're going to then count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And rocket ourselves into action jump up, get those tennis shoes on, and get out the door to do your run. Or sit down at your desk and start working on that project, or pick up the phone and make that cold call. Whatever it is, you are going to immediately get into action before your brain can talk you out of it. And it's utilizing something called activation energy as well, because it's energizing that activation energy, because it takes more energy just to get you started than it does to keep going once you're already on a roll. So we need to rocket ourselves into action, and then we're usually good to go. And the amazing thing about this is that you not only get the immediate benefits of having not wasted your time that day and moved yourself forward, but when you practice this 5-second rule multiple times a day, and at least on a daily basis, you actually begin to rewire your brain. You're developing a new habit, but a powerful new habit of action. You are creating a habit of taking action. You're actually changing your bias from a thinking bias to an action bias. And believe it or not, there's research done on that. And people who have a bias towards action are happier, they're more successful, they're more productive, they are more courageous. Because you can't be courageous in your mind. Courage is all about taking action. And so when you start doing this consistently, and be gentle with yourself, because you are changing a habit, consistency is the key. But when you do that, and you start to create a shift in your bias to a bias of action, that is when you really start transforming your life. So now you have all of the key components in order to be able to change your habit of procrastination. And so that's it. I'm done. Get off your apparatus, get off your phone, get into action. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start living from your courageous heart.